Colombia, landslide power. Children have been rescued so far. In Panama, more sectors joined the indefinite strike against the high cost of living, while the government convened a dialogue table with the mediation of the Catholic Church. Sri Lanka's parliament announced that former Prime Minister Gotabaya Rajapakse submitted his official resignation through an email. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Marrero from the teleSUR headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin with the news. Stay with us. An update from Colombia at the landslide at Barrian Elementary School in the department of Antioquia. Authorities reported that 19 children have been rescued so far. The governor of Antioquia, Aníbal Correa, described what happened as a painful tragedy and called for an effort and capacities to be used in the integral attention of the emergency. The director of the Administrative Department of Risk Management of Antioquia, Diego Lopez, informed that 3 minors of the rural school have yet to be found and detailed that there are 100 people working in the rescue. Authorities reported that 3 of the miners trapped under the landslide died. One of them was rescued alive, but he died in the hospital of the municipality. The official also emphasized that the entire hospital network of the Southwest and relief agencies are deployed to support the attention of the tragedy. Martin Hidalgo, a sworn witness and former deputy chief of special operations of the Argentina Armed Forces during the presidency of Mauricio Macri, has implicated his government in smuggling arms to Bolivia for 2019 coup d'etat. Hidalgo assured that they traveled to Bolivia in November 2019 with order to deliver the anti-riot ammunition that finally ended up in the hands of the repressive forces, to whom several executions against unarmed civilians are attributed. The Argentine military declared under the oath before the Alejandro Catania judge on economic matters how he was summoned to travel to Bolivia in an Air Force Hercules cargo plane in which he transported the ammunition ordered by the Commando of Together for Change government, certifying that the shipment was received by Commander Calibe. Brazil's Congress has just ratified an amendment declaring a state of emergency that will enable the federal government to increase welfare payment during the election season. The situation was considered illegal as it was interpreted as an attempt to buy votes during the election season, although the left was unable to support the measure because they will be seen after they were opposing the increase in social spending at the moment when millions are under the poverty line and are facing hunger on a daily basis. After the 2016 coup, the government dollarized fuel prices, which led to almost daily price increases, which added the situation resulting from an Ukrainian conflict. People believe that its attention is arose to try and cancel this year's elections, which is only 90 days away, whereas others fear that with this measure, the rule of law is at stake. In Honduras, the son of former President Porfirio Lobo Sosa and 3 other young people were murdered. The son of Lobo Sosa was Said Lobo Bonilla, a 19-year-old. Among other youth murdered was Luis Armando Zelaya Rivera, nephew of General Romero Vázquez Velázquez. The events occurred on Morazán Boulevard in Tegucigalpa, known as the living area of the capital, when they had just left a nightclub at 2:30 a.m. local time. When the boys left the nightclub, they boarded 2 vehicles and upon leaving were intercepted by armed men who forced the boys to get out, and that is when they shot them. Vázquez Velázquez condemned the reprehensive act and called for a review of security policy. He also points out that it is up to special police forces to give explanations about the incident, since according to the general, it had the characteristic of a military operation. In Panama, various sectors of the country continue to join in defining the stride against the high cost of living, while the government condemned a dialogue table for this Thursday with the mediation of the Catholic Church. The National Nurses Association of Panama, ANEP, joined the march and mobilizations organized by several groups at national level. ANEP prepares to speak up at lunchtime throughout the nation in solidarity with the current mobilization that the country experiences. The protests began on July 6th with a 72-hour national strike of teachers, students, and transport workers, which later became indefinite. Now they are joined by several indigenous peoples, producers, fishermen, doctors, and the Panamanian Construction Union. The United Nations has asked the government and social organizations to reach the necessary consensus for peaceful coexistence. In Haiti, the World Food Programme warned that violence between armed gangs and the social crisis are aggravating the food situation in the country. United Nations World Food Programme representative in Haiti, Jean-Martin Brault, said that the climate of political unrest is aggravating the humanitarian crisis and that at least 4.5 billion people, almost half of the population, are ongoing hungry. The official denounced that gangs control roads and blocks access to markets and humanitarian aid for more than 3.8 million people. On its part, the UN Coordinating Office of Humanitarian Affairs reported that violence has caused the forced places of more than 36,000 people in Port-au-Prince since June 2021 to this date.
The risk of insecurity, repeated cases of kidnapping, and gasoline shortages are the main difficulties we face in this country. Our situation is critical because we face misery, hunger, and our children can no longer go to school. The government is useless. We demand that it goes.
We'll
it has
take a
to
short
go.
break now. Join us again after this. Welcome back to From the South. The heat wave speeding across southwestern Europe was expected to peak in Spain, with blazing temperatures around fueling fires across the Iberian Peninsula and France. The region's taking heat this summer is forecast to hit southern Spain with some of the harshest temperatures. The villages around three major rivers, the Guadiana, Guadalquivir, and Tagus, will experience temperatures of 40 degrees Celsius. The Health Ministry told people to drink plenty of fluids, wear light clothes, and stay in shade or air conditioning. The Andalusian city of Almonte saw temperatures hit 45.6 degrees Celsius, while several other southern cities such as Sevilla and Córdoba recorded temperatures above 44 degrees. In western Spain, near the border with Portugal, forest fires have already raised at least 3,500 hectares. As for the intense heat wave speed in Europe, Warren, who works at the Grantham Research Institute for Climate Change and the Environment, said that climate conditions will continue to worsen as a result of high pollution in greenhouse gases and no less dangerous climate changes aggravatingly impacting people's living.
The global average temperature of the Earth has been increasing since the late 19th century due to the buildup of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases, and that buildup will continue until we effectively get to zero emissions of greenhouse gases. The earliest that might happen is 2050, but it does mean that for the next 3 decades, the average temperature will go up, and it means the extremes will go up. So we will see these heat waves become more intense and more frequent for at least the next 30 years. It kills hundreds and thousands of people every year across Europe. mostly people who are vulnerable and have underlying health conditions such as respiratory illness. But if we get temperatures in the high 30s and low 40s degrees Celsius, that's a danger to healthy people as well, particularly people who are engaged in strenuous activity outside, people who may be working on construction sites or working on farms. So,
Germany paid tribute to more than 180 people killed in severe floods a year ago, as those left behind in charges that the help with the construction efforts has been too slow to arrive. President Frank-Walter Steinmeier embarked on a tour of the AHR villa, while Chancellor Olaf Scholz joined a human chain in the hard-hit town of Bad Neuenahr and took part in the minute silence to remember the victims. Steinmeier said that he wants to show that they have not forgotten the people of the Iron village and how many are still struggling to rebuild their homes. However, a year on from the disaster, frustration is building at this solution piece of help promoted by the government. Alfred Sebastian, the mayor of Derneux, said the town was still at the very beginning of the reconstruction process.
We have to be financially supported by the state. We have signed a preliminary contract for 70%, but how can such a small place replace 850,000 liters of diesel with renewable energy? We have a hole in our finances and we need the support of the state now. If not now, when? Our roads are destroyed. Our heaters. We have to move on.
Russia aims to become the largest oil export to India by July. The Russian Energy Development Center said that state-owned oil and gas companies have increased their productivity to supply India with hydrocarbon. The increase in supplies to India is in May was reported to be almost 20%, and in annual terms more than 20 times higher. The Russian agency predicted that by July that Russia could become the largest supplier of oil to New Delhi, overtaking Iran, which shipped 1.02 billion barrels per day in June. Given the critical gas situation in Europe, the European Commission is preparing recommendations foreseeing the suspension of Russian gas delivery this year. The alarm raised by Brussels on Thursday gives the fact that Russia is going to stop gas deliveries as most European countries depend on. Moscow has explained that in view of the repair of a main gas pipeline, there is an alternative pipeline passing through Ukraine, but it will be up to Kiev to guarantee the safety of the installations. Although Brussels has not addressed the issue directly and has not publicly explained whether there are talks with Ukraine on the matter, it has made public a project that involves the use of renewable energies, limiting heating and cooling, implementing market measures such as automation or bidding systems, as well as rising some consumer costs. However, experts say that Brussels' strategy, other than being abroad, will not solve the crisis. In Turkey, the negotiations continue on grain export from Ukraine. According to Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov, negotiations continue between Russia, Turkey, Ukraine, and representatives of the United Nations to safely allow Ukrainian grain exports, alleviating the situation of high world food prices. Another meeting will be agreed on the creation of a corridor for such an objective. A coordination center and a document will also be created to ensure the safety of grain export. After the meeting, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres praised the efforts for a safe food export from Ukraine. We have more news coming up after this financial break, so don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. The Parliament of Sri Lanka informed on Thursday that former President Gotabaya Rajapakse submitted his official resignation through an email. The parliament spokesman Undinil Japar indicated that Rajapakse has resigned after arriving in Singapore. He further noted that they must verify the authenticity and legitimacy of the email before accepting it, adding that a formal announcement is expected this Friday. Rajapakse will be the first president to resign since Colombia adopted a presidential system of government in 1978. Under the country's constitution, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, whose resignation is also being demanded by demonstrators, will automatically become acting president until Parliament can appoint a successor. Meanwhile, in Sri Lanka, the government demonstrators said on Thursday they were ending their occupation of official buildings. A curfew was lifted down on Thursday before being reimposed in the capital later in the day. Police beat back protesters overnight outside the national parliament. The main hospital in Colombia said about 85 people were admitted with injuries on Wednesday, with one man suffocating to death after being tear gassed at the premier's office. Chinese State Foreign Minister Wang Yi said on Thursday that China and Cambodia have strengthened cooperations in many areas. Wang Yi made the statement at the 6th meeting of the China-Cambodia Intergovernmental Coordinating Committee meeting at Menin, Guangxi Autonomous Region. On his part, Cambodian Deputy Prime Minister Horman, who said his country firmly uphold the One China policy and support the Global Development Initiative and Global Security Initiative put forward by President Xi Jinping. And he wished that the 20th National Congress of China's Communist Party succeed. Both ministers underscored the next year that both countries will be celebrating the 65th anniversary of having established diplomatic relations. One said that China is willing to work with Cambodia in furthering bilateral interests as well as to contribute to the prosperity in the region. On Wednesday, the navies of China and Pakistan were up for the joint Navy exercises. The drill included anti-submarine, anti-aircraft, and air missiles operation, and even a basketball match. The commander of the joint warship fleet, Shen Yusu, said the two sides have increased mutual trust, deepened friendship, and enhanced joint combat capabilities through sharing combat situation, information, and support. On his part, Pakistan's Chief Naval Overseer of Commodore Rasim Mahbub Singh said he would like to see such joint drills to continue in the future. On Thursday, Palestinian Protestants condemned U.S. President Joe Biden's visit to occupied territories. Political and popular forces call on citizens to gather in several governors at separate times and raise the Palestinian flag during Biden's visit. For Palestinian factions, Biden's visit is aimed at serving the Israeli occupation and its interests in the region and trying to swallow the wealth of Arab countries and people for the benefit of the State of Israel. Conditioning with the visiting of U.S. President Joe Biden to the region, the Palestinian Median Forum organized a protest in the center of Gaza City to demand justice for the spirit of journalist Shireen Abu Khaled and to hold the perpetrators responsible for her murder.
I hope our President Abbas will not accept him in Ramallah or in anywhere in the West Bank, because this visit will not bring anything for the Palestinians. It just give money, support, some money for Palestinians, and without a political solution.
teleSUR English continues to grow. The signal now reaches Europe, and you can order it from your cable dealer or turn it yourself. These parameters that you see on the screen are in place since July 1st, and quite soon further changes will be implemented for the signal in the Middle East and Africa. Now more than ever, the word connect to us and our stories are being heard all around the globe. This news multi-platform will continue providing trustful content to oppose the hegemonic media narrative and our faithfulness to our audience. Now with that story, we have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on our socials. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram as well. teleSUR English, I'm from the south. I'm Ana Marrero, and thank you for watching.